Okay, we are live now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Azure Episodes Africa. And today we have an exciting person and someone that is part of the Azure Episodes Africa core team as well, and also a friend of mine. I'm pretty much pumped or excited for this particular episode and see how a lot of us can learn from so much knowledge this person has. So today I would give it up to Salim to introduce himself and also I'll go ahead from there. Hello, Salim. Welcome.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome. My name is Salim Oyinlola. I'm a Gold MLSA, a GitHub Campus expert, and I'm really interested in AI. I build AI solutions with Azure AI services as well as Python. I write Python here, and I'm really excited about the Azure AI services. I find it intriguing that you can get to that the service allows you abstract the more, would I say, crude part of artificial intelligence and lets you build AI enabled application on the go. So yeah, I'm excited about this. Thanks for the warm welcome once again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I met Salim. I can't remember when we first met.
I think it was
To be
the
honest.
AZ 900 when I was going to
Oh
write it. I
yeah.
think I texted you. Yeah, I was speaking with Latifa, and she was like, "I should reach out to Ahmed. Ahmed is
Oh,
my guy that would help me." I texted
oh,
you,
absolutely.
and you were extremely helpful, like to say the least. And then
Oh, I
that's I
remember.
think yeah.
I remember now.
From there, it just
Uh,
went off. I was really nervous
yeah.
about the exam then too. So,
Mhm.
but you kept telling
Yeah.
me, "Yeah, just write it," and then, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how we envisage things that we think are so difficult, and at the end of the day, it's like a piece of cake. But we need
Ah,
people to talk about their experiences because if you don't get a lot of people talking about their experiences, there's this a lot of like conception or perspective about okay, this thing is hard, can I do it? Or am I able to like put more energy, or what is the appropriate practice to be able to like pass this exam or even work on projects. So I was glad I was able to help anyway. So today
thanks so much.
today we are having a very exciting topic. I know AI is they say data is the new oil now, but I think AI is the new oil now. Or how should we say it? So so I think that it's a good thing that we're coming to talk about one of the most sorted after certification, which is the AI 102. I always call it the AZ 102,
Is
but
it
you
too?
corrected me and said, okay, because everything is AZ to me because I am more into
Right.
DevOps. So anything DevOps
I
is
feel you.
AZ. So yeah.
That's it.
So today we'll be talking about the AI 102 exam and how Salim was able to practice for it, work on projects, and also like some of the study tips he has for us and stuff. So, for a little bit of background, AI 102 is known as, let me just search for it. I didn't search for it. Like that. The title is quite confusing, so I don't want to
Right. So I
get
think
it
something
wrong.
about
So,
designing
AI
and
102,
implementing.
yes, so AI 102 is known as the Azure AI Engineer Associate. It has a fancy name. I think I like that about the entire stuff. I mean, and it's a certification that teaches you how you can build, manage, and deploy AI solutions that leverage Azure AI, basically. So Azure AI is like a suite of Microsoft, a suite of products on Azure itself that you can build ML models and thereafter. So I will
Right. So,
allow Salim to give us more insights on it as well. So Salim, your own understanding, like you are the AI guru here. What do you know as the AI?
please.
What
So ultimately, yeah. Ultimately, the basic idea of the exam is it's ascertaining your ability to design and implement AI solutions for. Okay. Sorry, give me a second.
That's fine.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Also, awesome. So basically, the exam is ascertaining your ability to design and implement AI solutions using the Azure AI services. So a lot of the questions are usually with usually in terms of like case studies. So assuming you're the AI engineer, you're the AI Azure AI engineer for this company, and they would enumerate details about the case study. Okay, the company has this and that. They've created this before. However, they're trying to achieve that based on this information. Which Azure AI service would you think is best? How would you configure your Azure AI service to get this done? Which also basically things around that whole area, like how would you get things done? So it's mainly about how you design from scratch, and if even the let's assume there's an existing infrastructure, how you then build on that, configure what you're working with, and then ultimately implement such that it can serve end users. I think similar to most Microsoft products, it's the Azure AI certification exam. It's extremely business centric because ultimately you want to solve problems for people,
Oh,
and most of these people are their own businesses. Yeah, so you are an Azure engineer, so it's like as opposed to most things in the software domain, it's extremely business centric. How are you using these AI skills, these AI services? How are you using them to make businesses better? So I think that's obviously the exam is extremely based on the technical expertise. A lot of I think you have code, but like actually you're not writing code, but like it's a job down for you to write code and all that. Like it's a lot. It's testing you from a technical point of view, but then that technical expertise is being tested in the real world, so in the business context.
well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I only say this as a cloud enthusiast and also someone that's started the entire cloud upskilling in the past 2 years. Is at the end of the
Right.
day, but this business is not just about the technology, it's about how we can leverage on these technologies to be able to make money, or
Very true.
maybe make this process more simpler, or like the entire experience for
Automating the processes.
our customers much. Yeah, so that's
I
something I've
mean,
learned.
if
I
I'm a
mean, I
business
took my
owner,
Z104. Mm-hmm.
I don't think I care so much about how sentimental analysis can be. Like, I don't think I care about the nitty gritty about those things as much as me just my business just doing better. I mean, as a tech geek, I probably care about that. However, as a business owner, it's more about the what effect does it have on my business. So just finding that soft spot between these technological things and making your businesses better. I think that's also the thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. So I would say that for me, when someone is thinking about certification, it's like you're thinking about certification and also like leading it to like what you're working on currently. Like for example, if you're in the AI domain, you want to be upskilling on all of this certification. Like, is it on Azure? Or is it on AWS? And I think this particular certification is like the starting point. So for you,
Okay.
Salim, when you made up your mind that you're going to take this particular certification, what resources
Right.
did you start with, or did you say that okay, this is the appropriate resources, or how did you go about finding resources for this particular certification?
All right. With I think there's a big difference. You agree with me? There's a big difference between the way you prepare for the fundamental exams and the associate exams. With the fundamental is more of it's less. What's the word now? Would I say it's less practical as opposed to the fundamentals where you actually as opposed to the associate exams where you actually have to do a lot of like coding and it's much more practical. So the biggest resource for all Microsoft exams for me is easily Microsoft Learn. Easily, like there's I mean you can find Coursera courses, you can find Udemy courses, but the ultimate resource, I mean, if these guys are setting an exam for you and they've created the resource for these things, I think it's not out of sorts for their resource to be the best resource. So the ultimate place to start with is Microsoft Learn. They have this
I
well-defined
think we
pathway.
lost
Like,
Salim there. Is it my
can you hear
internet
me now?
connection? I think I lost Salim there.
I can hear you good. Oh.
Let's wait for him to be back. It seems you're back now.
Yeah, yeah, I could hear you actually.
Oh, I think it was
Can you
my
hear me?
network then.
Yeah, I
Yes, I
could hear you.
can. Oh, I think it's my internet.
All right, so I
The
think
network.
I'm not sure the last thing you had me say, but I was saying there's a big difference between the fundamental exams and the associate exams. In that with the fundamental exams, it's extremely theoretical based. Then the associate exams is extremely practical based. Now, in terms of resources, the most useful resource for all Azure exams are found personally is usually the Microsoft Learn website. So I mean, and it's only logical if these guys are the ones setting the exams. It's just certification exams, and they have resources for those certification exams. I reckon that that resource that's available should be the best resource for the certification exam. So to answer your question, what I found most helpful was Microsoft Learn modules. After you register for the exam, there's this full blown pathway. Like it's literally extremely what's the word now? It's detailed and it's what I'm looking for. Like it's in order basically. So you take this one and you take this one, and you take that one. And what makes it even more interesting is when you're done with each module, you get to take a knowledge check, or you get to like, okay, I've learned X and Y, and then you answer a couple of multiple choice questions on each. And then there's also this old exercise thing where you have a what's it called, like a demo of what you're doing, like where you have a demo, like where you actually get to write code and have a full blown project. So easily, the most helpful resource while writing the exam was Microsoft Learn.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I started like upskilling in terms of cloud computing, in general, it was Microsoft Learn I used to upskill in terms of like technologies related to Microsoft in the cloud computing environment. So I would resonate that for you to be able to take the certifications that are in the Azure ecosystem, you would have to use resources outlined by Microsoft. And we have a
Indeed.
question in the chat, which states that from Kamal, he mentions, is Microsoft Learn open to everyone?
Oh yeah, yeah, easily. It's open to everyone. Once you, it's just I'm not sure the exact website. I reckon it should be lend on Microsoft.com. I'm not sure the exact thing, but something around that space,
Can share it
and
in
you
the
can
chat.
easily just look it up. Microsoft Learn.
You're saying something, Salim. I think we lost you there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right, so I was trying to get the exact website. Yeah, I was right. So it's learn.microsoft.com, and once you go to the website, you can easily just create an account. By creating that, yeah, I think you sent the link already. By creating the account, you have access to all Microsoft's Learn resources, everything, literally anything you want to learn within the
Amazing,
Microsoft
amazing.
ecosystem, and
So,
you just go
particularly
from
for
there.
the AI 102, I would assume
Right?
that they have a learning path for this particular
Yeah,
certification, right?
yeah, they do.
And okay, do you have access to the particular learning paths, or how do people go about to access this particular learning path?
Um, I should hold on. Give me a second, please. Well, basically, yeah, I think I have it here. I should send it to the chatbot. It's a very simple, self-directed learning path. It's about I think it has. So give me a second. It has about 13 subsections. It has about 13 subsections, and
Mhm.
ultimately it starts from introduction to using AI services, and then it goes all the way to custom vision, computer vision, and everything in between, such that when you're done with that, you would be properly equipped to write the exam. I'll send a link to the group to the chat box right away.
Okay, amazing. So we have it. So that was the primary resource. Aside this, did you use any other resource to prepare for the exam?
Honestly, I mainly stuck to this because I mean it's by Microsoft, and more importantly, since the exam is extremely practical based. Now, when you go through this path, this learning path for the exam, you are going to need to work with 21. labs. The idea of labs is you have this you have this subsection of your system where you can get to use the Azure resource, like you actually get to work on the project. So by the time you've gone through that learning resource, not only would you have learned the text that's there, but more importantly, you would have actually done 21 projects. Now, for you to pass this exam, I feel like working on projects is way more important than actually studying. So spending extensive time working on projects would, because the questions, I mean, even goes back to the questions with the exam. A lot of the questions are usually towards the writing code, doing X and Y. So you're actually doing things as opposed to, I think the AI 900, which is a fundamental exams, tests you more on things that are like theoretical. And then with the 102, what you should really focus on is just doing projects. Just keep doing stuff. Like once you're just doing projects, and obviously when I say doing projects, if a project says it takes 1 hour, in your first try, you probably spend, I don't know, maybe the whole day on it. But that's okay. Like that's part of the process here. You make mistakes. And once, I mean, I feel like once you make a mistake, I don't think you forget it if you spend the whole day trying to figure it out. So when you see that exam, when you see that question in the exam, I don't think you're not you actually know it's because you've gone through that process. You're actually answering it from a place of authority. So I think ultimately the learning part is sufficient in the sense that once you use it, it works, and then once you're vigorous with the projects as well, like you're good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So this leads us to our next question. So I know you've spoken about people being hands-on and being practical because I mean the biggest gap between the associate and the fundamentals is the fact that you have to be more practical oriented because I mean you could just go into the exam, cram all the entire stuff, but there are some of the exam questions that you have to have practical understanding about. You need to actually build stuff using those tools or resources. And this to my next question: what specific topics or areas should candidates focus on the AI 102 exam?
At the risk of sounding like a lecturer, all of it. To be honest, all of it. I think there's this table where you get to see the ratio. I think, for instance, you could have something. I'm not sure. This is not me speaking from a place of authority, but let's give an instance. You could have something like computer vision, like the exam covers computer vision covers 5 to 10% of the exam. Natural language processing covers 20 to 25% of the exam. So you have things within that range. So obviously, knowing that, you want to make sure. I mean, if something covers 20 to 25% of your exams, you don't want to, and you know the exams pass mark is 70%. I'm not sure you want to be lackadaisical about that part, right? You want to focus
Yeah,
more on some parts. And for me, I was really keen on just making sure I was good with everything. But then off the top of my head, the parts that were like really, really, I won't say challenging, but like that I think anyone that's trying to read for the exam should focus on. It's the containerization part. Like there's this whole thing about how to dockerize your AI applications, and there's this other part about sorry, give me a second. Yeah, the open AI services. You know that this bunch of new, and major reason why this is extremely important is that these open AI services are they are new, and I mean OpenAI is literally what a lot of people in the AI space is talking about right now. So that's something that I think a number of questions in that space. Finally, the exam gets really easier when you can differentiate between the two major services in the natural language space. We have the question answering service, and then we have the language understanding service. In renewing the exam last week, I think that was something that was extremely important. Can, once you can differentiate between those two services, the question answering service has to do with you using FAQs and generating an AI app that can work with that, as opposed to the language understanding where you deal with your entity, your intent, your there are three key things there. Entity intent. I've forgotten the last one. Basically, the language understanding service deals with those ones, and then the question answering deals with your frequently asked questions. So being able to differentiate between those two also goes a long way. But ultimately, you need to focus on every single one of them.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm someone that goes with just master everything and do your best to make your perfection. And like you said, they have like a table where they're able to point out the section of the resources that has more weight, more of like they're saying like a cheat, like a area of
Yeah.
concentration.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that is
So
a very correct situation.
so we have Krishna asking about how many days it took to prepare for the exam.
That's interesting. The actual exam. So my exam story is a bit here and there. In December of 2022, I tried to prepare for the exam, but then, as Ahmed probably knows, this thing where my amazing network connection here in Nigeria didn't let me write the exam, right? Well, back then when I was preparing for it, I remember it was December 29, and I started just before Christmas, so it was like a five, let's just a week. But then that 1 week was extremely intense. Like that was literally my task for each of those days. I wasn't doing much other than that for those 5 6 days. So it mainly depends on how much time you have. But if you like, a lot of people I just want to get the exam over with, and they also helped me that I had done the AI 900, I had done the AZ 900, and I had also worked with these services. So it also made mine a bit easier. But in general, I think 2 weeks of rigorous work should get it done. Now, if you're thinking of like let's say at night, perhaps you work during the day, yeah, or perhaps you go to classes during the day, yeah, that's another option. I think in 4 weeks, doing that consistently, like perhaps every night, if you do 2 3 hours, I think you should be done. However, more importantly, I think the time is not important. I think just focusing on how long it takes for you to complete all the projects, all 21. I refuse to believe that one you complete all 21 projects like you do your due diligence on all 21 and you struggle with the exam. So I think the more important question should be how long would it take you to complete those 21 courses as opposed to like once you complete those 21, no matter how long it takes you, some will be a breeze. Some days you're going to, I mean, I can't envisage some bugs you're going to face in getting that project done. So just focusing on that. But then if I had to give a number, 3 to 4 weeks. Now, rigorous, if you're going to extremely intense, let's say 2 weeks, a week max, then you're good to go.
Amazing. So we had another question from Krishna, and she mentioned, was there any practical
In the
question?
exams.
Yeah.
So the way the exams were, the practical questions, this was September last year. And what they'll do is you have the questions and you have a long I read Python. I think at the start of the exam, you have to pick between Python, C Sharp, and I think JavaScript. I'm not sure if JavaScript was an option, but I recall Python and C Sharp, right? And once you pick that, um that's where your questions will be based off. Like your coding questions will be in that space, right? So mine was Python, and there would be this long function defining, perhaps let's say they're writing a function to perform sentiment analysis on a long text, and then they could just leave out a method, and then you need like a drop down. What is the correct method for that? And then you have these options looking at like all of them. I mean, you could try to logically answer it by inference or by intuition, but ultimately, if you don't know it, you just don't know it, right? Because they all look alike. They all look right by intuition, right? So yeah, those are the kind of personal questions you had. I did not write code. However, I was still doing things related to code. So imagine having a long script and then just take out a keyword and a method or a function, and he asked me what ought to be there. So yeah, something of that in that space mainly.
Yeah, I
But then, I
mean,
mean,
for
if
my
you've done the practical,
Mhm.
if you've done the
Yeah, go ahead.
practical,
Sorry.
it becomes much easier.
Wow, amazing. I would like to talk from my own experience, and I did an associate exam too. So I would say that there was for for so many of the associate exams, it's not practical oriented, but you need understanding gotten from like you working on actual projects. I remember when I was doing AZ-104, which is the administrator associate exam. There were a lot of networking shenanigans there, and everybody that took the exam after, and all of us came back complaining about networking. I passed the exam by, I think it was by 6 marks above. I passed the exam, and I was like, definitely going back to networking to go and work more on networking. The thing was that even the networking exams I got well, I think it was because of the practical understanding I had. For example, when you're working with public IP addresses and subnets, those were,
Right,
if
sir.
I had to if I had to read about them, it would be so boring because I'll just cram it and do stuff like that. But because I had practical understanding about it, it was quite easy for me. So we jump to the next question. And thanks, Krishna is showing us love from India, and I mean, amazing. Thanks, Krishna. And we drop
Thanks, Krishna.
um, our LinkedIn profile at the description of this video. Immediately we finish up all of the recording and also uploading, we drop it to be in the description so you can have it as well. So we'll be glad to connect with you as well, Krishna. So the next question we have is Salim, during your preparation, you mentioned about like preparing for it. Did you use any practice exams or mock tests? And if so, how did they help you?
Again, I mentioned that I tried the December experience at first. That one I was planning to write the exam in like 7 days. So yes, at that point I did. I got this website that I don't know if it were potential. I don't know if the questions were potential questions. I think when I was done with I remember like I went through all the questions on the website and there were tons of questions. But then when I wrote the exam was like 45 questions and I found like just two from the exam like from the space I found the questions. But then what was really helpful about that thing was exactly exams topic. That's very right, Krishna. Yeah, exam topics. And when I went through when I was going through the questions on that website, what I did was when I find the question, I wasn't so keen on knowing the right answer to that question. I was keen on having an understanding of the concepts behind that question. So instead of cramming that, okay, anytime they ask you this and this, the answer is an Azure Kubernetes service. I was more about like, okay, let me learn about an Azure Kubernetes service. So if the question is changed, can I still answer something within that space? So I think I focused more on that as opposed to focusing on learning more about as opposed to learning more about how can we how can I know the answer to this question that okay once I see this one I know the answer is this. So as opposed to that I think focusing more on so those things help you also so it helps in two ways. One, once you're done with the 21 labs, once you've gone through the resource, you need to have that sense of okay, where do I stand? How much do I know? For your confidence, especially. That's one way I used it. And secondly, there will be questions that you just don't know the answers to, despite going through the resource. Now, being able to now, okay, this one gave me a challenge. Okay, it's this set of questions, the difference between question answering service and Louis, that's the language understanding service. Then the difference between these two is something I keep. I have challenges with. Now going back to the resource and having that feedback loop and then getting better like that's where to me that's where the practice questions and practice exam and mock test really come to play.
Yeah, amazing. I remember when someone introduced me to exam topics and it was so long. I mean, the free version is probably even good enough for you to pass the exams. Like if you cram it in.
Definitely,
Like if you do
definitely.
cram it, but the thing is that Microsoft then upped their game. I mean, the first time I wrote, I'll still talk from my experience because I think experience is the best teacher. So the
Right,
first
sir.
time I wrote inside 104, it was the time where Microsoft was um, changing the system, I would say. So they were bringing like more like a new category called, I think, where you have to use like practical understanding of like a real life scenario, like scenario based stuff. And that was not an exam practice. And I was like, what is this? I was like, I was just that place was so fast, and I had to use my understanding. Like, yeah, exam practice is good. Very a bit exam topics gather is very good, but the thing is that once you like pass some of these questions, you go back, have, do more practice, and you're like, okay, I understand this now. And next time you see it, you're able to like go through it in a like few minutes or as compared to
Definitely.
hours. So the next thing is like this one is more of like something that everybody faces. When preparing for the exam, everybody faces like, or we all encounter burnout and lack of motivation. How did you stay motivated during your preparation, and how did you avoid burnout?
With the motivation part, with me, to be honest, yeah. Let me see. I really wanted to like have certification, so motivation was hardly an issue. But then one key thing happens. There's this. You were even the one that told me about it. Then because of the way the exam is, that you can schedule it anytime. That you can start reading for it, but you've not scheduled the exam. So once you've not scheduled the exam, you know that I'm not scheduled the exam. There's no date to it yet. I can still postpone. I can still postpone. Then you get. You're not so keen on it. You're not so. But like the ultimate thing is, once you put a date to it, that okay, oh, come rain, come shine, on the 24th of August, I will do X and Y exam, right? Once you put that date to it, maybe let's work with the 24th of August timeline. Maybe early in August, you're still calm. By the time you're entering mid August, you're thinking about the exam more and more. By the time it's the 22nd of August, 20th of August, now you know the exam is in 2 days. I
Yeah.
think you'll be motivated at that point because I mean you know that it's in 2 days. It's literally just 2 days, and then you just have to um be on your best game and get it done. So for me, I didn't really struggle with being motivated. Then about the burnout part of it, I don't know, to be honest. Again, I can't really speak much to that because I didn't experience that. But then I also kind of enjoy, like every time I want to study for an exam, I've enjoyed, especially since it's in the tech space, I genuinely enjoy building applications in the AI space. So like it's been fun for me as opposed to me feeling burnout. I think burnout comes more when it's work. It's been fun. I mean, some days bugs go on kill you, but however, ultimately it's been fun. So yeah, I don't really know much. I can't
Yeah,
really
I
speak
mean,
much to burnout.
yeah, I mean, when you are excited about something, it's more of like even a motivation, a source of motivation itself to go
Definitely.
further. And for me, when I was learning about AZ-104, it was like, okay, at the end of the day, if I finish this exam, I'll be known for being an administrator on Azure. I was envisioning that kind of system, or should I
That's
say that kind of thing. And also, like for burnout, I'm someone that likes to split like tasks into like weeks and months. So I made sure that I knew my bandwidth at that period, and I was able to split it like, okay, let's be realistic. I cannot use 1 week and study for this exam because I was still a student then. So I was like, oh, I cannot use 1 week to finish this exam. So I just like broke it down into like 2 months. Okay, 2 months. And I like the voucher was going to end at the end of that second month. So it was quite good enough for me to be able to prepare for the exam. So Krishna has another question. Is there any expert level certification that you have done? For myself, I've not done any expert level, but I'm preparing for the is that 400, which is the DevOps expert certification. The DevOps expert certification. So Salim, have you done any expert level certification?
at all. No, I haven't at all.
No.
Hopefully soon,
So
but I haven't.
yeah, hopefully soon. I mean, I plan on working on more projects as compared to just packing certifications without any project. So the next question we have is in the area of projects. Can you share some of the answer projects you worked on to prepare for the AI 102?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Let me get it. So there's this thing I worked on. So I think initially it started with the Azure translator. So the idea is you'd come, you have a text you're trying to translate, you'd add the text. Once you add the text, you can the application works such that I can even detect the language, whether it's an Arabic text or it's a French text. It knows that it's a French or Arabic by itself, and then you then pick a target language. Initially, the first version we had like 15 to 20 languages, but right now I think we've had like over 45 languages, and I think that's the first one I started with. Then I liked the reaction I got. I think I shared it publicly. I liked the feedback. I'm like, okay, let's do more of these. Then I think it was midway through 2022. Then I said, okay, this is good. Then I did the sentiment analysis. The idea is perhaps you have a movie review. I think Ahmed and I worked on that together. I remember you trying to
Yeah,
dockerize that. Am I correct? Yeah, yeah, that was
yeah.
yeah.
Actually, I
Yeah,
to add a Microsoft Reactor session that I'm going to send
yeah, I
you.
remember.
That was the first time I used Microsoft Reactor, and it was amazing. Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so I then worked on that, and that was sentiment analysis one. Then I was still in that same NLP phase, like the language, natural language processing space. I think I remember doing a key phrase extractor. I remember doing a summarizer. I remember just doing things in that space. And then when I was done with all that, I then thought to myself like, okay, you have this application. Like I kept creating them in separate applications, like separate spaces. I'm like, okay, what if we created like this is going to be very funny to you all. Well, like also create like a Netflix for AI applications. So it's a central space. You come in here and okay, once you're in application, it's a Flask application, right? You pick I want to use a
Mhm.
summarizer today, and then tomorrow you come back here, oh, let me use my translator, and then you do this one. Let me use my I think we built I still didn't I've not finished this project till date, but I know I started trying to like integrate an OCR, that's the optical character recognizer,
Yeah,
such that you could have,
yeah,
yeah, I remember working on that, yeah. But I had this, so I mean, I'm not a backend person, but I didn't really enjoy. I had so many bugs trying to link. I had built the OCR elsewhere, but I used Streamlit, and now I'm trying to bring it to Flask. So that transition wasn't exactly smooth. So, but I'm just going to share the link to that. The user interface is very evidence that was built by a machine learning engineer. It's not exactly a good user interface, right? I'm just going
yeah,
to see where I can share. I'll share it with Ahmed privately. Perhaps Ahmed will share it.
yeah.
I don't think I need to log in for me
Oh yeah,
to
you can
share
just
on
share
the comment
screen.
section. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you
I
can
sent it
just
to
share
you
screen.
already. So that was the application I built, and because I think one other thing I also motivated that is if I can work on all 21 projects, if I can create a what's the word now? A, you come in and you can work, you can use all 21 projects. If I can create that kind of thing, then that's perfect then. So that was what I worked on then, and I did it for, but yeah, I did other ones. I just never got them because working on them and having them work on your command line is one thing. Working on them, having them work on your Flask app locally is another thing. Working on them and having them work on your Flask app and deploying is now another thing entirely. So now having to do that for 21 projects was going to be a lot, and I didn't quite get to that. But yeah, I think I did
Yeah,
all 21
yeah.
projects on the command line,
Mhm.
but I just didn't have all of them shipped out like this.
If you can remember, I think that's where I mentioned that that's where Dockerization comes into, and how Dockerization help is the fact that if you anything that works on your local machine with the right set of dependencies and packages will work on cloud. That's the entire concept of having using Docker as an orchestrator to deploy a lot of things, and it's really helped. I mean, it's the particular project we worked on together. We really used Docker. I can remember we had to deploy on, I think, Azure Web Apps container. We used like the entire CI/CD pipeline to deploy it, and I learned a lot working on that project. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So the
It
next
was so
question I
awesome.
have is we have the last set of questions, which is what was the most challenging part of the AI 102 exam for you, and how did you tackle it?
The most challenging parts. Oh, that's interesting. The most challenging part of the exam. I think personally, I struggled with the Azure Kubernetes services. This was a personal thing. I struggled to grasp, like, have that solid understanding of the foundation understanding of Azure containers, how containers come into AI services. I struggled. That was just a personal thing. I think I also struggled with again, I talk about the question answering. I think maybe because I struggled with this one just last week, that's why it's so fresh in my memory. But like the question answering service and the language understanding service, being able to like differentiate between those two, I really struggled with. I mean, and this is me just talking about the actual concepts. I think with other people it might be a bit different. Yeah, I think some people might struggle with the translator service, for instance. But with me, because that's the first thing I started with, I can do that thing in the middle of the night and you just wake me up. I can work on that easily. Yeah, because I've done that so many times. But then with the containers, it was early on. It was extremely difficult. I kept banging the questions in that space. Like I just was in, and it was frustrating. Like why? I'd go back to the resource, read on it again, come back, I'll bang it again, right? But ultimately, I think I was need to go back to like a drawing board. Like, okay, let's. I think the moment I was able to understand, okay, why are we doing all this? Like, I think I didn't get why we're containerizing files, but like speaking with you, understanding. I think is it GPS made by GPS? Gwen,
Yeah,
Gwen, yeah, Gwen
once
talks
it,
about
yeah,
things in the Azure DevOps space a lot. I'm like, okay, you guys are onto something. And I remember I wrote this thread about the concept of Kubernetes. Then, I think I was able
yup,
to I was able to draw parallels between how Kubernetes works and how a post office works. You just know that okay, it will get there. You just go to a post office. So when you go to a post office, give it an address, and then no matter what's happening, whether it's raining, whether it's sunny, whether the whole of Lagos is flooded or whatever is happening, you know that okay, this thing will get to whoever is going to receive it at the other end. Yeah. So for me, yeah, just to keep it short, it was mainly containerization of AI applications because early on I did not understand why we had to do that. But the moment I got okay, we're onto something here. I mean, this common meme that say they'll be like when a junior developer says the application works, but it works on my laptop, and then the senior engineer tells you, but the user will not come to your laptop now. you know, that kind of thing.
exactly,
But like,
yeah,
but like, ultimately, with containerization, that whole thing is abstracted. So yeah, that's it for me.
yeah.
I
That's the
really struggled
amazing
with
thing about,
customizations.
and I mean, it was shout out to Tech Nana. I think there's a lady called Tech Nana. I used her resource to learn about Docker, and the entire resource there was amazing. And I then was able to work on Linux, like learn Linux and commands and all of that. And it aided my understanding of how virtual machines work, how Docker is built on top of virtual machine and all of that entire process. So yeah, I would then move on to the next question because we are running out of time. So the next question I have is how has obtaining the AI 102 certification impacted your career and professional growth?
That's a very good. Thank you very much for that question. I like to believe it's not even done as much as it can do yet, to be honest. But just knowing that you have that proof of concept. I mean, you could doubt if I come and do it and say I can do X and Y, but then when I tell you that it's MS certified, I can do that. Now you think to yourself, okay, I think it's onto something. What it does ultimately is it gives you this credibility. Yeah, that's the word. Like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing because you have done it. Microsoft has seen you do it, and they've thought, oh, this guy does it so well, and he's done over 70%. So, and we think he's certified to do this for the next 1 year. So, I think that's the big thing it does. Game I think that's the biggest thing. Just that's a credibility to what you do. Like, okay, I've done it. So if perhaps I was in a job interview and was within the Azure AI space, I know that okay, I've done X and Y, and more so than just the certification, the project also exists to I mean, I did this as well. So mainly the big thing you get from it is credibility, and I'd imagine that when you're looking to recruit someone to solve your problems, credibility is something you really want to know. Okay, is this person credible to solve to find solutions to my problems? So yeah, I think the big thing it does for you is credibility.
Amazing. So I moving on to the next question is what advice would you give to someone just starting their journey towards the AI 102 certification?
Don't be like me. The first thing you should do is prioritize projects over theoretical things. Don't cram. Just do projects. It's just the journey is the film. Just focus on the journey. Like be more process oriented than goal oriented. Don't cram. Don't if you
Mm,
cram like you're thinking, oh, let me cram this answer, let me cram that answer. So when I can see it, I can answer it. goal oriented. But then when you're process oriented, you're more about, oh, let me work on this project, and then you learn from the experience. You embrace the bugs. It's good. It's good. So bugs are crazy. Yeah, like, to do things to you. That's okay. That's okay. You have to go through that process ultimately, yeah. And then when you come out of that process, you just know it. Like, off the top of my head here, I know that when you're working with a translator service, it uses the location of your where you deployed your resource. I just know that. I mean, that's very random because I know because I did it. Because I know I had a challenge with that when I was working on it. That's why I know that till date. And that's what we're doing. It's like just you experience it. It's just, I mean, you just things you experience. You mentioned it earlier, I mean, that experience ultimately is the best teacher. So you just experience you like you can't tell me I live this thing now, so I know that experience is in fact the best teacher, right? So yeah, I think prioritize working on projects. With the fundamentals, you can get away easily. I did it twice. I got away with the cramming thing, and yeah, I have my certification. But then with the associate, ah, cramming might not save you. I mean, you might be lucky and it saves you, but do you want to take that chance on the $65 exam? I mean, forget the voucher. Yeah, maybe I guess a voucher. But then do you want to take a, well, let me cram it and see how it works with an exam of that magnitude? Or you could just work on the project and see it all, and then you're done with it. So I think the big advice is just focus on the process, focus on projects, just focus on projects. And at the end of the day, just
Amazing.
realize that each project is like this big brushstroke in this ground painting you're making, and before you know it, you are Azure AI certified.
Yeah. So this is our last question because we are almost out of time. So how do you keep upskilling the AI ecosystem? This because this ecosystem is, as you can see, is rapidly evolving.
It's fast
Like how do
paced.
you yeah.
It's fast paced. You lose track for 2 weeks and you're just, what is up? You're gone. LLM, VMware. You're just, what's happening here? I think it starts from interest. If you're really interested in the field, like you want to know what's going on, you want to know the new AI feature at Google I/O. You want to know what happened at Microsoft Build. What's that new AI feature we're all talking about. You want to, and just knowing about this is not enough because you're just not you're not just a tech end user. I mean, you are a tech end. I mean, ultimately we're all tech end users, but then you're also a tech enthusiast. You want to know the process. Oh, there's this new thing that Apple works on. Can I integrate it with my random form projects? Can I, just I think the big thing is that core interest. Now, personally, how I keep up with this is I'm a big fan of I write, right? Because I write, I've learned to read a lot more. Yeah, so I have this bunch of I could recommend a number to be honest. I have this bunch of amazing newsletters in the Azure, in the not Azure space generally, in the AI space that I get weekly. Um, I think just give me a second, please. I get a number of them. I'm an IEEE member, so that's Institute of Electrical and Electrics Engineer. They have an AI part, and I guess newsletters from them. There's this thing now. There's this newsletter, Ben's Bites. Ben as in Benjamin, Bites as in to take a bite of a food. So Ben's Bites. Um, this is particular one I'm trying to remember. Give me a second, please. It's I think I think is it Eric Newcomer writes one as well. But basically, the basic idea I'm trying to say is whatever it is you like doing, perhaps you're more of a video person, get that strong old person within the YouTube content creation space in AI, and just know just be sure that you're up to date with what's going on in the tech in the AI space because if you think the tech ecosystem is really fast paced, you should see the AI space. 3 years ago, ChatGPT was just technical papers. Like it was just a bunch of technical papers that were being presented at technical conferences. Like there was no like the fact that ChatGPT is so mainstream. I think that was November 2022. It changed everything. Like we've been working on AI. Like we have had people work on AI. Um, what's his name? This adjuncts, the co-founder of Coursera, Andrew Ng. He's Ng, but he's pronounced like Andrew. Yeah, Andrew had worked. So, I mean, you have these top guys. The um Ilya is one that opened AI. Just top guys within the AI research space. They had done this all. They had these papers going on, but then we hadn't seen it from an AGI point of view. AGI being artificial general intelligence point of view, where it's actually being used by an end user, and ultimately that just changed it, right? So it's extremely fast paced. That's my point. 3 years ago, what we know as ChatGPT now was just bunch of technical papers, bunch of people discrediting you've done this, we can do this better. And today it's meant ChatGPT came out, we're having LLMs. I think we have LLM being large language models. I think we have the video equivalent of that. It's so fast paced, so fast paced, and that's why we also have the whole thing with the regulatory bodies as well. Like it's extremely fast paced, just extremely fast paced. So it's important that, and if you're also a Twitter junkie too, on Twitter, if you follow the right set of accounts, trust me, you wouldn't miss an update in the AI space. You know what's going on within AI space in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I am just I'll consider myself as a beginner to write, subscribe to lots of newsletter. I'm a fan of newsletter too, so I have like this TLDR. I think that's the name of the newsletters. They
Oh
give you
wow,
like all the latest updates across like different domains from DevOps, tech, finance. So I'm also a finance person. I'm learning about finance. So it's really good to see. Like, I mean, you want to upskill as much as the world is upskilling, so moving
very
or
true,
upskilling as well. So you don't want to be
very
left
true.
behind because a major misconception about like the tech ecosystem in Africa is like the world is already far like 50 steps behind above us before we start like at 10% or something like that.
Very true,
There's
very true, very true.
basic stuff. So I mean, saying that we the world is now like an open source environment now. You can be anywhere and you can learn as much as possible. You just sit down to
True.
learn. So I'll be sharing Salim's LinkedIn profile right now, and
Thanks
also
so
at the end,
much.
like the entire um event. I would upload the video and also append all of it. Also, Salim is also active on LinkedIn as well. So sorry, on Twitter as well. So I would
You know what's
append
funny
it
about this
to
session? What I really enjoyed about it?
yeah.
You know, over the last 3 months, I've spoken to a lot of people in the tech ecosystem, and I really thought I enjoyed interviewing people, but I think I enjoyed being interviewed even more than interviewing people. and
Yeah, so
I've had so
also
much fun
Salim
doing
runs
this.
a a show. I don't call it show, like it's the best tech podcast and show we have on
Oh,
Universe
thanks
right
so much. Thanks
like
so means so
like
much for
it
you,
talks
both
about
of
a
you.
lot of people. Like every time I see those people coming there to talk, it's mind blowing. Like I saw the one with Saeed, I think that's his name.
Yeah.
It was
Oh
I
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
fact
Side Aziz.
you can come to a podcast and just be yourself and everybody relates. Like I if I tell people that I participated in the first Zindia hackathon and now I'm doing DevOps, people like what the fuck is going on? You know, such a reason.
Right. Yeah.
But it's the, that's the thing. Like the fact
Yeah.
that that
It's
program is to highlight like Unilag, we are very blessed to have like a vibrant
very blessed, my
ecosystem,
bro.
tech
Very
ecosystem.
blessed.
So
The community is
now
extremely so good.
now we have to do it. I appreciate the fact that you're doing more journalism, and it's amazing. So I'm tuned to the next episode, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot from the
Thanks so much.
entire show and everything. Yeah, so thanks
Thanks
so
so
much,
much.
Salim, for joining us today's episodes, and I hope that everyone learned a lot from today's episode. And we'll be having series of like workshop in the next few months, but and also like more certifications, people that are taking certifications in the data analysis ecosystem, the Azure ecosystem, and also AI ecosystem in general, because all of these things work together in the Microsoft environment, and we want to enable or even help people to like these exams are not hard per se. It's just with adequate preparation we're able to pass it and also sit down and like study. And yeah, so thank you so much, Salim, for joining us for today's session.
No,
And
no, no. Thanks
yeah,
so much.
thank you. And I hope
So
you
much.
have the amazing rest of your weekend.
Random
Yeah,
though.
thanks so much, Salim.
What you're doing with Azure
Yeah.
episodes Africa, what we are doing, right? It's super amazing. From the inception, it's been the fact that we're trying to connect, amplify
Mm-hmm.
Azure users in Africa. It's amazing. Like this is just me, personally telling you that it's amazing what you're doing, and hopefully we get to
Thank you
make
so
more
much.
impacts as time goes on. I know you tweeted something recently about wanting to create so much content, and I promise you, I'm here for it. Like, I'm really, really looking forward to bunch of contents we have coming up, and yeah, this is me telling you a big well done.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it's crazy how we went from hosting events on Microsoft Teams now having our YouTube channel, and we got like a
Yeah,
lot of
oh, wow,
volunteers that help with branding.
of course.
Like
Oh,
last week, we
true.
got someone that worked on the entire branding for the YouTube and Twitter. Now we are
Wow.
ready to like impact more people, and that's something that I mean something I'm passionate about. Like I'm passionate about
Yeah,
cloud
I can
computing and
tell.
cloud ecosystem. Yeah, so
Right,
I do
yeah.
it for free. Like I love doing it for free, and it's something that I will continue to do in my spare time and
Right, yeah.
anytime that I'm available to.
Sounds
Yeah, thank
awesome.
you so much, Salim, and we'll close today's session with a thumbs up. Yeah, thank
Thank
you so much,
you.
Salim, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.
You too. Enjoy the rest of your day, bro.